Bienvenidos a todos to a special edition of our La Pinche Política segment that we do on our web series. We're going to be doing this throughout the election cycle because there's a lot of interesting narratives, problematic narratives coming out against our community, the Latino community, the immigrant community in our state and across the country. And so I'm here with our CEO and founder, Jerry. We're speaking on behalf of the GALEO Impact Fund to talk to you today about some of these lies that have recently been told about our community by politicians in our state who claim to represent and advocate for our community and our values.
Thank you, Kyle. Jerry Gonzalez here, CEO of GALEO Impact Fund. Glad to be here. I think we probably need to go over a little bit of history. And it's not ancient history, but it's recent history to really lay the context for what we're talking about today. So first of all, State Senator Jason Anavitarte was once one of the first set of board members that we had when we started GALEO. In fact, he was on our GALEO board, I think between 2006 to 2009. And that was when he was in the city, serving as a city council member in the city of Doraville. Insurance Commissioner John King was chief of police of the city of Doraville at that time too. So our position on immigration and immigration reform has always been part of the work that we have done since we started this organization in 2003. Jason was on our board and very vocal and active about being in favor of comprehensive immigration reform, including pushing for expanding access to driver's licenses in the Georgia legislature for those who were undocumented in Georgia. Our organization also at the time hosted then Police Chief John King as one of our keynote speakers at our annual fundraiser one year. That same year, he was protested by the Dustin Inman Society led by D.A. King, who is a convicted felon and also runs an anti-immigrant organization. So we were in support of Chief King at that time as he was being protested, and so was Jason Anavitarte was, as a city council member, was fully in support of Chief King at the time against that. But again, our organization has stood firmly on our position on immigration reform over the years, and our position on immigration reform has not changed. We advocate for a path to citizenship and want to ensure that we have more future legal flows for an orderly process at the border. So now that sort of brings us to present day, doesn't it, Kyle?
Yes, so why are we talking about Senator Anavitarte and Commissioner John King? Well, Jason Anavitarte was recently interviewed by a web series hosted by the AJC called Politically Georgia. And when asked about these mistruths and claims that the Trump campaign and far-right politicians are spreading about immigrants and migrants eating cats and dogs, when Jason Anavitarte had the opportunity to defend our community and defend our culture and our values, he instead chose to reinforce those claims by saying that it was somehow an inherent part of our culture and a part of what we do, when there's no evidence to support these claims. And any stories that have come out about communities where these immigrants are supposedly eating cats and dogs, every single one of those stories have been debunked. And Jason Anavitarte knows this, and it's a shame that he chose to reinforce this when he could have used his position as a Latino leader in our state to defend our community and our values and to bring us together rather than divide us.
Yeah, it's a shame that he took that opportunity on WABE in that podcast to talk about that the community in Doraville. There were actually citations about that Chief King had a hand in issuing some of those citations. So not only did he not stand up for our community and perpetuate a white nationalist lie that's being perpetuated by Donald Trump as a candidate for president, but he was also jumping in and bringing in John King into the conversation, saying John King knows of citations that were issued in the city of Doraville about eating cats and dogs. And that's just ridiculous. There's no proof of that.
And while Commissioner King still hasn't responded to this claim. He's also pushed some problematic narratives as of late. As everyone knows, our community, there are many communities throughout the state of Georgia and across the Southeast that continue to reel from the effects of Hurricane Helene and are preparing for Hurricane Milton. And Commissioner King, in talking about the effects of the hurricane, chose to spread a lie conspiracy theory that FEMA doesn't have money to support our communities during this time because dollars are being spent on migrant camps.
The Georgia Insurance Commissioner John King, we are here trying to dig ourselves out of the disaster of this storm that brought so much destruction across the Southeast states. We are finding out that our partners at FEMA don't have the money to be able to support our local citizens because they spent so much of their money, establishing migrant camps. President Biden and Vice President Harris have been disastrous in taking care of our citizens, and this is a prime example.
Now, first of all, money is being spent through FEMA to assist folks who've been impacted by natural disasters across 6 states in the Southeast. More than almost $140 million have been spent on assistance, and the money used for responding to major disasters like Hurricane Helene, Tropical Storm Debbie, those come from the Disaster Relief Fund. No funds from the Disaster Relief Fund have ever been used for border-related issues in recent years. FEMA has almost $40 billion set aside for disaster aid for the 2024 fiscal year, and this is the largest part of FEMA's annual budget, more than 56 times the amount set aside for migrant shelter and services. And by the way, FEMA still has money for those affected by Hurricane Helene, and we encourage you, if you've been affected by a natural disaster, to apply for disaster assistance. You can call 1-800-621-3362 or visit disasterassistance.gov, and we encourage you to do that if you've been affected by one of these natural disasters. And that's part of the problem, because not only is Commissioner King spreading lies about our community, which encourages attacks, whether that be policy, or we've even seen a rise in racially motivated hate crimes throughout the United States. But it's also misleading people who've been affected by the hurricanes about what assistance is available, because there is assistance available.
There is assistance available, and again, this isn't about either conservative ideology or progressive policy. This is about making sure that we can hold elected officials accountable for some of the things that they say. These are outright lies that are being spread by Commissioner King, unfortunately. It's been proven by the Washington Post fact checker has actually fact checked this, and you can see it on the screen. But ultimately, this has been fact checked, and the actual person that did actually divert funds from one pot of money to another pot of money was actually President Trump when he was in office. So there is that fact that this is not true. Spreading these type of lies are harmful for the recovery efforts, and he should be ashamed of himself.
Absolutely. And, as Jerry said, this isn't about politics. This is about the truth versus lies. This is about how our community, the Latino community of Georgia, deserves representation that doesn't just come from our communities, but tells the truth about our shared values, celebrates our economic and cultural contributions to Georgia, and advocates for our working Latino families' priorities and needs. As we continue to celebrate Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month, we call on Latino leaders like John King, like Jason Anavitarte, to actually engage with our community and to be the advocates for our community that they once claimed to want to be.
From access to healthcare and education to empowering small businesses and creating shared economic prosperity, there's so much work that needs to be done for Latinos and with Latinos in Georgia.
So rather than spread falsehoods about who we are and further divide Georgians for political convenience or expediency, we urge Commissioner King and Senator Anavitarte to actually bring our community and state together and to show that that Latino family values are working family values. The Galeo Impact Fund, we are going to continue to stand with our community and our partners for a stronger Georgia where our Latino families can live with the prosperity, security, and dignity we deserve.
Enough with the lies. Let's move on. Make sure that any victims of the hurricane have the resources and information, correct information that they need to make sure that they can try to make their lives whole as impacted by the hurricanes, rather than spreading lies. So thank you all for listening, and stay tuned for an additional episodes of La Pinche Política.